It's Thursday in January, so you know what time it is.
What you say? Oh, that you only meant well.
Jason Derulo,
What you say?
what does you say
That it's
to
all
your
for
questions?
us
To your questions. I got to figure out the lyrics for that, but it's coming along. So this is the third week I am in January that I'm answering your questions, and you can actually submit your questions on the podcast now below. There is a form, or you can write in the comments, and I would love that. And my goal in 2025 is get more people to like and subscribe. I think a lot of people watch this but don't, or listen to it, but they don't necessarily interact with it. And I think that is a great way to build community, but also to learn from each other. Because if you submit a question on the forum, I'll get it, and I might answer it, I might not. There's a lot that I'm trying to get through, and I'll tell you, I am really loving this. I'm really enjoying this. But if you comment on YouTube down below, you might get other people giving you answers. And I think there's some power in that, is that I'm not the only person who has ideas. And these are just my opinions, just some things that I'm thinking about and based on questions I'm getting. So every Thursday this month in January, I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to do this, and I'll see how it goes. And let me know what you think of it. Do you like this process? Is this helping you? Because I'm loving it. So even if you don't like it, I might just keep going because I am really enjoying it. And it's giving me some great ideas and kind of making me look back at some work. And today I'm going to talk about the idea of imposter syndrome. And I actually have two people who asked questions in different contexts. They both have different space or different roles in education, but the term imposter syndrome came up in both their questions. So I want to answer, give some of my takes, some of my insights on those questions. And I apologize. If I will say your name, if I think it's not going to get in trouble, you can submit those questions that, you maybe don't want your staff, and trust me, your discretion, you can just write somewhere you don't want your name being shared. But if I do answer your question, I will be sending you a signed book, which I am doing to the two people here today. And I have been doing with all of the podcasts. So you haven't received them, I promise you, they're on your way to the address you shared on the forum. And so this is from Jay Posek. And Jay, you are so, first of all, I apologize if I'm saying your last name. I'm pretty sure I got your first name right, Jay. But just such an amazing supporter. Really appreciate all the support you've given me over the years. And the other is from Holly Sisk in Georgia. And I'm going to read Jay's question first, and I'll read Holly's question, and I'm going to give you some insights. So Jay shares, now that I'm retired and no longer a real principal, how can I still provide support to others without having imposter syndrome? And so, first of all, Jay, before I get to Holly sharing a similar question, principal is a title, but leader is about influence. You have tremendous influence. You're someone I look up to. So that's something I want you to really think about. Whether you're retired or not, you can have a tremendous impact on others by your influence. And that's something I just want to share with Jay specifically, because he's just been such a great leader. I know his staff misses him tremendously for that leadership, not because he's a principal, but because he's a leader. Holly shares this: how to overcome imposter syndrome when accepting a new position at the district level technology office. And these are both, you can see the imposter syndrome is coming into new spaces in life, right? You're going into these new spaces and trying something new, and then you're worried, like, how are people going to perceive you? And so just a couple thoughts. And I want to share this image with you, and you can see it on the screen in front of you. And I apologize because I don't know where this is originally from, so just understand it's not mine. And it talked about making more mistakes. And it says theory: looking stupid, feeling shame, being laughed at, experiencing discomfort. And that's one of the things with the imposter syndrome. You think you're making decisions and people are kind of looking at you. But making more mistakes, reality, you're getting smarter, gaining courage, laughing at yourself, expanding your comfort zone. And the reason why I wanted to share this in the context of the idea of imposter syndrome is because the reality, if you are in this position where you're like, look at me, look at who I am, you should have a little imposter syndrome, because you're not my favorite person if you're acting like that. It does not matter your role. It does not matter what you do. It matters who you are and how you lead and how you actually lift other people. And the thing with me is, the best way to deal with imposter syndrome is not to go in there thinking you're an expert, but to actually go into any role, go into any facet of life as a learner. Because the reality is that if you embrace the idea of being a learner, you will always be relevant. It does not matter. And so you never have to worry about imposter syndrome, and it gives you some grace. If you, for example, Holly going into this new position, if Holly's like, look, I'm this person, so all bow to me, you're going to be in trouble, Holly. And I know you would never do that, which is why you're asking a question, which is what I appreciate, because you're trying to gain insights in your work. And all those people who work with Holly, you are blessed that you have someone who's trying to grow in a position that's new to them. And so if you go into this idea of you are a learner, that really can actually make an impact. One of the things I do in my keynotes, and keynotes are often seen as these experts. And one of the very first things I say is, listen, I am not the expert talking to you. I'm just a guy sharing some ideas with you. The expert is literally sitting beside you. It's the people doing this work every single day. And do we actually embrace that? Or do we wait for someone, to come from backstage or from some, and then they'll know, like the Wizard of Oz, like they know everything. And it's the reality that we have expertise all over the place. And so I just kind of come from that space where I'm just someone who's sharing my learning, sharing insights. My hope is that you take what I share and you make it your own. You change it, you remodel it, you use it as is based on your context. I don't understand your context. I don't understand the people you serve. I don't understand where you've been, and I do not know where you want to go. You understand that. And so I'm just a person sharing this learning. And when I share that with a group, you can almost feel like people are like, huh, right? And it just makes it not only, it defers to the people in front of you, it also kind of alleviates some pressure on you, because if you're holding yourself up as an expert, you are in trouble. And one of the things that I've worked with a lot of people who work in schools, and one of the things that's really important is how do we actually share our story so people know what's going on through our own context, through our own eyes. A lot of times, the first time people hear about schools and social media is when something goes wrong, right? And so how do we actually share this? And one of the things I get pushback on from people, and I don't know if it's pushback, but discomfort, I guess, is this idea is like, I don't want to come off as I'm bragging. And so that's fair, right? And I understand that. And the reality of this is, if you are saying I'm the best, whatever, and I'm like this principal and blah blah blah, whatever, and it's all about you, yeah, you're gonna come off as bragging because you are. That's how it is. But really, what I say is like, how do you actually share your learning? Some of the stuff like, hey, here's something that's really great in this, this classroom. Here's this great thing that's happening in our school. And it's not about you actually holding yourself up and bragging, but it's really about how do you lift the people up that you serve, share their insights. And what's beautiful about this, if you are in a school and you're sharing some of these things that are happening in your own school, yeah, they might get out to the public, but what's really cool, they might actually get out across the hall, because a lot of times, staff don't even know what's going on across the hall because we don't have the ability to get into each other's classrooms. And if you're an administrator and you have the flexibility, your part of your role is to bring sunlight into those classrooms so they can see each other, and the great things that are happening. And then it also gets them to see each other as the expert. We often defer to people outside of our organization, outside of our schools, as the expert, but can you actually use your admin position to elevate others? So like in Holly's case, right? Holly's case, working at the district level for technology, it's not that Holly's role is that all the technology stuff comes from Holly. It is that Holly improves the meaningful use of technology in the organization. And it can be through her insights, but it can be also through connecting people. Like Holly's in one school and sees this amazing thing, and then is in another school and says like, hey, they need a little bit of help. It's not that Holly necessarily is the person doing it. It might be connecting the two schools together and building expertise. I've said this often. Everything that you want happening in your organization already exists. How do you bring it to life? And that's part of Holly's role. And so when Holly does that, no one's going to think, well, Holly thinks she's all that. They're not going to think that at all, because Holly's making a connection and saying like, hey, here's this great person. I want you to connect with them, have that conversation. And it almost alleviates some of this as well. Now, some people would be very uncomfortable with that, and that's an insecurity or arrogance issue. It's not a confidence issue. And that's one of the worst things that you can be. There's two of the worst things you can be I see them as on different side of the spectrum, is that you can be either really insecure that you are uncomfortable with anyone else looking good, right? That's an issue. And that's when you're going to fall prey to imposter syndrome. Or the arrogance is that I'm the only person that's good, right? So like basically everything has to come from me. And if it doesn't, it's not good. Confidence is actually Holly saying like, I know this person's great and I am comfortable enough that I'm going to make that connection and not worry that it's going to actually make me look bad. It's going to make me look less in any way. And the thing is that confidence and humility actually are connected to one another. Confidence is not always being right. Confidence is being comfortable saying when you're not right and when you could do better, when you can grow, when you can develop, and not, when you make mistakes, it's like, oh, I made this mistake. Here, I'm owning it. And now here's how I'm going to actually move forward. That's confidence. Insecurity is pretending the mistake never existed. Arrogance is pretending you never make mistakes at all. And I think that's where you can get into trouble. Confidence is really crucial as a leader because it is being able to say I was wrong, but I'm going to figure out how to get it right. And I'm going to share this article on the idea of humility and confidence. And it's in the link down below. And I wrote this in 2019. And I shared a quote from an article that really connected with me. And it is the title, Think You're Wise in Your Own Eyes, 4 Steps to Develop Leadership Humility. So here's the quote. Leaders who are wise in their own eyes seem to be the ones who get the most attention in our world. They're the outspoken, big personality, larger than life characters who always seem absolutely convinced of their own wisdom despite any evidence to the contrary. They capture the news headlines, private equity investors, and achieve personal wealth and fame. The only thing they don't seem to possess is a healthy dose of humility. Yet a number of research studies show that humble leaders are more effective at bringing people together, marshaling resources towards a common goal, and accomplishing organizational objectives. And then in my insights in the same post, I said, humility, especially in leadership, is crucial. But in a world where social media can provide open doors that did not exist before, it can also feel arrogance. This is not to say we shouldn't be proud or advocate for our work, but it is crucial we highlight others online and offline. I understand that a confidence leader can still have humility. In fact, confidence is necessary for serving others. This is something, and I know this is going to sound maybe disconnected, but I'll come back to it. I'm a very competitive person, like extremely competitive. And one of the things I really realized in leadership really quick is that if you want to be the most effective leader, if you want to be the best leader possible, how you actually win in leadership is you get the people you serve to do well. You get the people that you work with to do well. So that's the thing, is that I always want to be really successful in the work that I do. But the more work that I do, I realize that when I help people win to find success in a way that matters to them, that actually makes me look really great as a leader. And sometimes, let's be honest, I wouldn't get the recognition that maybe I deserve, maybe I even crave a little bit. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. I don't know, right? But like, that's not what it is. It's about actually, it's actually leaving a legacy in the work that others do because of your leadership. And I think when you think about imposter syndrome, you really have to embrace the idea that just be a learner. Just be a learner. Don't be an expert, be a learner. And the thing is, the more expertise you develop in something, the more you realize you don't know. And that's why it's always just easiest to be a learner, because you'll embrace when things go wrong. You'll embrace, not that because you want them to go wrong, but because you know you can learn from it, you can continuously get better. And if you embrace that learner, right? If someone says to me, that's a stupid idea, I'm like, well, I'm just sharing my learning, right? It's easier to kind of deal with that, right? If I say this is the best idea ever and someone says it's stupid, now I'm kind of stuck, right? But if I'm like, hey, I'm just sharing my learning, sharing things I'm doing, that's something that's really important to me. Embrace that notion of being a learner. But the other thing too is that to really kind of deal with the idea of imposter syndrome, don't worry about how you look. Worry more about how the people you serve do. And if the people you serve do really well because you do everything in your power to lift them up and to elevate them, you'll never have to worry about someone worrying about your credibility. And if they do, that's more of a them issue than a you issue. Lift others up, and you'll never have to worry if you're relevant or not. If you continuously grow and continuously learn in a way that matters to you, you will always be relevant. You'll never have to worry about being an imposter. So just some insights, just some of my thinking. I don't know it all. I'm just sharing some opinions, and I hope you enjoyed another episode of
What you say, that you only meant well, 'cause you
Jason
did
Derulo.
what you said.
What does George say?
That it's
To
all
viewer
for
questions because it is. There you go. Another episode. I'll be back next Thursday. Thanks so much for listening. I love this. I'm really enjoying it. I'd love to know your questions. I'd love to know your insights. If you see someone else's question, you got some insights, respond to them. Give them some ideas, because I don't think that I know everything, obviously, and I think that I would love to learn from you. So share your questions, share your insights. I'd love to answer your question in a future podcast. Thanks so much for being here. Have a wonderful day. Take care.